Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 3, and today we're taking a look at the Hoonigan car pack. So this is a car pack that features 7 heavily modified vehicles, all done by Hoonigan, all of different shapes and sizes from different car manufacturers. And yeah, it's currently free if you have Forza Motorsport 7 pre-ordered, and you'll also get the majority of this car pack plus another one that isn't the same as in this one with Forza Motorsport 7 for free as well, which is a pretty good deal, quite frankly, because that saves you money. And yeah, it's pretty decent car pack, even though I'm not a massive fan of these highly modified vehicles, but nonetheless there is plenty here for everyone. And yeah, even some cars here that I really quite like. So yeah, this is the first vehicle, the 1992 Mazda RX7 Twerkstallion, and yeah, it's got quite a lot of power. It's got 600 horsepower, 590 pounds-feet of torque from a 5.3 litre turbocharged V8 engine, which we'll take a look at now. Just take it off. And yeah, the car only weighs 2,866 pounds, so it's not really got all that much weight to lug around. As you can see, plenty of high-end gear in there, which is the same for pretty much everything inside as well. As you can see, it's fully stripped out, racing gear, roll cage, in gold as well, which I wasn't expecting. And yeah, the boot is purely there to get access to the likes of the battery, etc. in the back. So yeah, highly modified, nothing like the original car in terms of engine or in terms of performance, but nonetheless we're going to take the car out there and see what it can do. So yeah, I'll see you when we get there. Right, we're just going to take it for a spin around the free roam area. I am not going to be reviewing any of these cars, just purely because, well, the highly modified vehicles, they're nothing like their standard vehicles that they are based on, so there's no real point, and I don't really have all that much to say about them, to be honest. But yeah, it's plenty quicker car. 0 to 16, 4.086 seconds, going on to a top speed of 8. It's got 0 to 100 time of 8.1 seconds, sorry, and it will go on to a top speed of 227 miles an hour, which is really rather quick. I will say though that the engine is really rather quite quiet for a V8 engine with all that power. But this is a car primarily designed for drifting, and it can do that pretty well, even though I'm not really all that good at drifting. But nonetheless, it's capable of doing that, and yeah, I do actually quite like the look of it, to be honest. Makes a difference for a car from Japan not to have a ridiculously big spoiler, which is nice to see. So yeah, let's go see what the next car is. And this is the next vehicle, the 1972 Chevrolet Napalm Nova. So yeah, this is probably one of my favourites out of the lot, and that's primarily down to the amount of power that it's got going for it. 475 horsepower, 520 pounds-feet of torque from a 7.4 litre V8 engine, and the car itself weighs 3,566 pounds, so still quite heavy, just like the standard car, but it's got way more power than it had originally. And yeah, it's also been upgraded in terms of handling, which will obviously make it a quicker vehicle as well. I have to say I'm not a fan of the purposely open hood and trunk. It just looks ridiculous, quite frankly. And yeah, the decals don't really add anything to it, but I do like the overall paint job, and I do like the wheels as well. And we've never had a 1972 Chevrolet Nova on a Forza game before. We've always had the 60s version, which obviously is a good thing, because, you know, the more muscle cars the better. So let's take it out there and see what it can do. Again, though, I would prefer the standard version of this car. Just, you know, I'm not a massive fan of modified vehicles. I really do like driving stock vehicles around more than upgraded versions, or intentionally upgraded versions that will then do the way to upgrade it further. But for what it is, it's pretty damn good. Certainly capable of decent rate of speed, because it doesn't have a 4-speed gearbox like the standard car. It's also got a higher top speed. It can do 0 to 16 4.114 seconds. It's only slightly off that Mazda despite weighing more and having less power. 0 to 109.7 seconds, and we're going to a top speed of 186 miles an hour, which is obviously far faster than the standard version. And yeah, handles better as well thanks to all the handling upgrades. definitely still feel the fact that it is a old 70s muscle car. As much as you want to upgrade it, it's never going to be perfect just because of the kind of car it was originally, but it is far better than it was standard. But like I said, I would prefer the standard version of this year of vehicle, because like I said, we've only ever had the 60s version in these Forza games before, and yeah, I would prefer the stock version. But it is still nice enough as it is. Certainly got plenty of power. It's certainly a car that you can use racing wise, because it is so much better than it would be standard in terms of handling. So yeah, perfectly reasonable car, and easily, like I said, one of my favourites out of the car pack. So yeah, let's move on to the next vehicle. And this is the next car, the 1965 Ford Hoonicorn Mustang. This is probably the most well-known car out of the whole car pack, purely because of the likes of Ken Block using it, and it was used in, I think it was Top Gear on one episode. So, and yeah, it's also the most powerful and the most insane car on the car pack itself. 1400 horsepower, 1200 pounds-feet of torque from a 6.7 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine, and the car itself weighs 2,998 pounds. So, really rather quite light in weight, and yeah, I like the whole patriotic aesthetic it's going for it, including the alternate colour turbochargers on the top there, and yeah, it's also all-wheel drive, so yeah, it's able to put all that power down and also have really rather quick acceleration because of it, and yeah, easily the most insane out of the lot. Like I said, as you can see, it's completely stripped out, roll cage and all. The boot is purely there just to get to the likes of the fuel tank in the back. Certainly not a car you're going to be taking much luggage with, but then again, none of these cars are really suitable for the road, quite frankly. But nonetheless, we're going to take it out there and see what it can do. So yeah, I imagine this will be a worthwhile contender for Blizzard Peak Hill Climb, considering it's got all-wheel drive standard and all that power going for it. Though you can't upgrade the engine any further than it already is, you can only really do the brakes, I think the suspension, and the tyres. There really isn't much you needed to upgrade with this car, quite frankly, because it's already pretty damn powerful. Really, really rather quite quick, as you can see. So yeah, 0 to 60 in a staggering 1.813 seconds. 0 to 103.150 seconds, going on to a top speed of 255 miles an hour. But yeah, it is an insane car, and you do need to be paying attention, to say the least, because especially in the wet, it doesn't have all that much grip. And again, this is a car meant for sliding more than going around a corner properly, so it's to be expected. Yeah, it's absolutely ludicrous. Just the fact that the exhausts are right behind the turbochargers there means that you get some fire on the go, as you can see there. So yeah, insane to look at and pretty insane to drive as well, which is to be expected when you've got all that power. Right, so yeah, let's look at the next vehicle. And this is the next vehicle, the 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air. So this is not only the oldest car in the car park, but it's also the slowest. But it's not through lack of trying. It's not like it doesn't have any horsepower really. It's got 410 horsepower, 390 pounds-feet of torque from a 5.8 litre V8 engine, and the car itself weighs 3,244 pounds. So it's not all that much weight to lug around, and it's got a fairly decent amount of power. But I really would have expected far more torque from a V8 engine in such an old car like this, though obviously the engine and all the underpinnings are new. It's only really the body that is old, but nonetheless it's still got a pretty decent interior despite the intentional distress look, which I am not a fan of, quite frankly. I'm really not a fan of cars that intentionally have rust on them and etc like that. I'm really not a fan of that, but it's still got a relatively normal boot and a relatively normal interior despite that, and yeah, it's relatively normal in general. It's just really the extra power and the fact that it's lifted up at the front end, which I really don't see the point in. But nonetheless, let's take it out there and see what it can do. From what I've found out, that the handling really isn't improved with that lifted front end. It does help the weight distribution, but it doesn't help the handling, quite frankly. And yeah, these cars didn't handle all that well originally, but lifting up the front end does not help. Yeah, does like to slide though. Even though it is the slowest, like I said, out of the car park, it's still pretty decent in terms of speed. 0 to 60 in 6.326 seconds. 0 to 100 in 13.214 seconds, going on to a top speed of 160 miles an hour. But the handling is really compromised by that lift. The front end, you really have to slide it around a corner to get it round, because otherwise you're going to be struggling to get round. And even when you try and slide it, it does stuff like that. So it's, handling wise, it's really not all that good, quite frankly. It's really a car more for straight lines. If I try and turn normally, as you can see, I'm turning. It's really rather slow to respond, which, yeah, isn't fun. Quite frankly, again, like the Nova, I would have preferred the standard version. But this car pack is all about upgraded vehicles, so I really shouldn't expect them to have the standard version, but it would be nice if we could, you know, have the option to take all the modifications off and have it as the standard version. But again, like the Nova, is another favourite from the car pack, purely because it is a year of a vehicle that we haven't had before. So let's move on to the next car. And this is the next vehicle, the 1991 Rauh-Welt Begriff Porsche 911 Turbo. Hope I said that right. But yeah, this is by far the more normal vehicle out of the car pack. It's certainly got no storage in terms of you know, luggage, etc. But it's still got its rear seats. It's still got relatively normal interior. It's even got its door cards, etc. So it's not, you know, ripped out or lightened heavily. But as you can see, it's pretty wild in terms of the outside. Big, massive spoiler on the back, added to the original spoiler. Red wheels, lowered suspension. It's got a front splitter and a fairly you know, wild flares. I'm not sure if they were standard on the car or not, but they're pretty wild nonetheless on the rear end. And yeah, it's got a fairly decent amount of power, even though it's one of the least powerful vehicles out of the car pack, especially compared to the likes of that Ford Hoonicorn. So yeah, 385 horsepower, 400 pounds-feet of torque from a 3.3 litre turbocharged flat 6 engine, and the car itself weighs 2,976 pounds. So even though it hasn't ripped out the interior like other vehicles on this car pack, it's still relatively lightweight, which is obviously a good thing considering it doesn't have all that much power compared to other vehicles. So yeah, let's take it out there and see what it can do. I have to say though, like the Bel Air and the Nova, I would have preferred this to be the standard version, because we don't have all that many. We've never had a standard 911 Turbo from the 90s in this game before. We've had the GT cars, but we've never had a standard 911, and it would have been nice to have one. Again, like the Bel Air, like I was saying with the Bel Air, I'm not expecting standard cars in this car pack, because obviously it's very specific and it's centralised on one kind of theme. But it does give me hope that they will put these kind of vehicles in standard form in maybe Forza Motorsport 7 at some point, or future Forza games, because I would like them. But nonetheless, this car is still pretty decent nonetheless in terms of speed and acceleration. 0 to 60 in 4.081 seconds, so exactly the same time as the Mazda. 0 to 109.779 seconds, and it will go into a top speed of 182 miles an hour, which is fairly decent. And in terms of handling, it's probably the more normal handling car out there in terms of the car pack, especially considering you've got that rear spoiler helping push down along with the engine being up those rear wheels. Yes, yeah, it still has the same kind of 911 Turbo tendencies of oversteer, because that's how they were standard. But in general, it is a far more normal car, and you could definitely see this working out there on a track, which is one reason why I'm glad it's going to be in the Forza Motorsport 7 version of the car pack. So yeah, solid car all around, and another favourite of mine. So yeah, let's move on to the next car. And this is the next vehicle, the 1978 Ford Escort RS 1800. And yeah, this is one of several Ford Escorts from the 70s that we have on this game, but it's easily the most powerful thanks to its new engine, which, yeah, is a pretty good one, quite frankly. 333 horsepower, 246 pounds-feet of torque from a 2.5 litre inline-4 engine, and the car itself only weighs 1,846 pounds, so yeah, incredibly powerful naturally aspirated engine, but no real weight to carry around with it, which is obviously a good thing. And it's unlike plenty of other vehicles on this car pack, it's been stripped out in terms of the interior, no rear seats, no creature comforts whatsoever, and yeah, the boot is only there so you can get to the fuel filler cap, which is obviously handy to have it there. But nonetheless, let's take it out there and see what this Escort can do. Now, like I said, we've got plenty of Escorts on this game from the 70s. This is easily the latest 70s vehicle that we have. The others are in the early 70s. But this is easily the most powerful, like I said, and also the lightest, most likely, I think. Should be, considering how much it's been stripped out. And as you can see, it's really rather quite high revving. Nearly 9,000 RPM. And it actually sounds good as well. And it's got a pretty good acceleration times as well. 0 to 64.286 seconds. 0 to 110.081 seconds. It can do 169 miles an hour, which is pretty decent, quite frankly, despite being the least powerful car on the car pack. But despite that, it's still pretty damn quick. And yeah, being the lightest vehicle in the car pack as well, it's got some of the best handling. And like the Porsche, it's far more of a car. It feels like it's set up for the racetrack than just for sliding around, though it is, you know, capable of sliding around, as you saw there. But again, this is another one of my favourites, and that is because it's American, but because it's lightweight, plenty of power, it's got a decent sounding engine. So yeah, let's move on to the final car in this car pack. And this is the final car in the car park, the 1979 Baldwin Motorsports Loki K5 Blazer. And like the other Baldwin Motorsports vehicle that we have on this game, that trophy truck from Monster Energy, it's really rather quite large, really rather powerful, and still rear wheel drive despite being an off-road vehicle like this. So yeah, it's got a quite a large engine with plenty of power. It's got a 7.2 litre V8 engine which produces 650 horsepower and 600 pounds-feet of torque, and it weighs 3,500 pounds. So yeah, even though it is quite a large vehicle, it doesn't weigh all that much. It weighs less than the Chevy Nova, I think. So yeah, despite being as big as it is, it's not all that heavy, and yeah, that means it can make the most of all that power that it does have. And yeah, interior is stripped out, but it's got all the kind of equipment that you'd expect for a big off-roader like this. It's even got cup holders in the middle there, which is obviously quite handy. One thing I do like about this car is it's still got its electric reclining window and boot lid, which, you know, would have thought if they were trying to save weight, that's one thing they'd take out, but obviously not. But nonetheless, let's take this car out. We're going to actually go on to the Extreme Off-Road Seal Build course, because this is a big off-roader and taking it out onto the normal roads would seem really rather stupid. So yeah, we're going to take it out onto that course, and I'll see you when we get there. Right, here we are. So yeah, just a word of warning before we start. This car is only available in this game's version of the car pack. For Forza Motorsport 7, all the other cars are available, but this one isn't. It's replaced with the 2003 Holden Commodore U, which I'm looking forward to driving. Quite frankly, there's no real point in having a vehicle like this on a Forza Motorsport game, because, you know, it's an off-roader and it's, you know, only rear-wheel drive, so you've not even got the all-wheel drive capability of other off-roaders on that game. It's more suited to this course, so let's see what it can do. It can do 0 to 60 in 3.992 seconds, which is pretty damn quick for a car like this. 0 to 109.107 seconds, and it's gone to a top speed of 130 miles an hour, so it's the slowest in terms of top speed, but that's to be expected considering it's only got 4 gears and it's more suited to doing this kind of stuff, where you don't really need all the speed in the world, you just need to be able to keep going through all the rough stuff. Obviously this isn't going to be as quick as the upgraded versions of other cars on this course, but still going to be capable of tackling it. Certainly will deal perfectly well with the water. Be interesting to see what the time will be for this compared to the upgraded version that we will eventually do on with this car. It would only be it'd be silly of me not to try this car on this course upgraded in Extreme Off-Road Silly Build course series. More than capable of going for the water, increasing in speed. The real thing that's holding this car back is the fact that it is only rear-wheel drive and it doesn't have the best gearing in the world, but vehicles like off-road vehicles like this anyway, I'm more interested in just being able to get through this tough stuff rather than how quickly they can get through it. As you can see, it's still no slouch. But again, like other vehicles in this car pack, I would like the standard version as well, because we've not had many off-road vehicles from America in the 70s. We've only had the Ford Bronco and the likes of cars from Jeep and that International Scout 800A. We've never had anything from Chevrolet, and I would like an off-roader from Chevrolet. Standard one anyway. Just so then we have more cars from that era to compete against the ones that we already have. Yeah, we've never been a vehicle that we've had on the Forza Motorsport game before as well, so would be nice to have it in that kind of stock form, but this vehicle is pretty damn good, as you can see. More than capable in terms of off-road capabilities, and yeah, pretty decent in terms of speed and acceleration as well, especially when you consider the kind of stuff that it can do on off-road. So yeah, that is a car pack, really rather decent car pack. It kind of helps that I get it for free for pre-ordering Forza Motorsport 7, which I was going to do anyway, irrelevant of whether or not I got a free car pack out of it, but nonetheless, it is a good car pack. Nice varied vehicles. Nice to see that different kind of vehicles can be upgraded in different kind of ways, and they're going for different kind of things, because none of these vehicles are similar in any kind of way, quite frankly. They're all different in some kind of way, and that's pretty nice. So yeah, it adds more variety to the game, quite frankly, and I look forward to trying these cars out in other series on this game. Nonetheless, that's going to be it for this video. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.